to bring us all together. So let me ask you, since you've been volunteering for a number of years, you probably have lots of different memories of what you've done as a volunteer here. But if you could mention one high point during your volunteer time, what would be your high point of volunteering at Ollie at SOU? And why don't you start?
Well, I think the high point, because there have been many really satisfying points, but I think the high point was having a concept, which was the open house idea of involving not only Ollie members, but the community at large in a exploration of the many advantages of lifelong learning. And finding a buddy to do it with, which is Margaret Pashko, and being able to work collaboratively on something that was really fun to do and really rewarding. And so that was a high point. And as I say, there have been many of them.
Great. Peggy?
Well, as Anne said, there are various high points. The one that immediately always springs to mind comes in a class which I taught. And we were towards the end of COVID, but we were still in COVID. And I had a Zoom class. And as students in that class on that morning session, I had one student driving on the New York State Thruway. I had one student on vacation in Honolulu, and I had one student who very obviously was in a hospital bed in a hospital. She had a hospital gown on. And to me, that showed the power and the importance of Ollie. And there have been other things, but to me, that's the one that always comes first to mind.
Wow, that is quite a story. Wow. Margaret?
Peg, I cannot top that. But like all of you, I've had many high points over these last 11 years. And I have to second Anne on the open house. But for me personally, and Laura, I think you'll relate to this very well, was my year as president in 2018 and 19. It was a high point for Ollie. We had 2,100 members. We were celebrating our 25th anniversary, so there was a lot of activity and enthusiasm and energy and people coming back from the past for that celebration. And we had just started to launch the capital campaign for the renovation of Campbell Center. And that had never been done in our 25 years, anything on that grand scale. So that year of presidency had a lot of challenges, but definitely a lot of high points for me and the council and the membership.
Those are great high points, and I really appreciate sharing that. I know after many years, it's often hard to come up with one, but the three of you did really well. Thanks. So on that point, as we've heard, that you've all been volunteering for a number of years. So in my experience, as a volunteer at other organizations, I tend to see volunteers come and go. Some may last a long time and some may be there for a very short period of time. Obviously, something is keeping you here. So what is keeping you here as a volunteer? Who wants to start?
Well, I'll start. I've had such different roles. I served on the curriculum committee for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years back in the days when we had a mimeograph catalog and we had a big whiteboard to try to schedule classes. Then I became a council member, and when I went off council, I remember Cliff Edwards came to me. There are some other positions available, and you might want to consider taking one. And at that point, CCO was open, and I thought, well, I have some experience with publicity and community relations through all the performing that I've done and all my work with church choirs and in churches and so on and so forth. And I thought, well, I think I'll try that out. And that's when I really got to know Anne and Margaret because of their relationship. And then that led me on the path of CCO and the open house. And I had never anticipated that I would end up doing things like that. But with these two ladies, it was impossible to say no.
We loved you for it.
Okay, Margaret, what keeps you going?
Well, I'm really committed to the mission. I just feel very strongly about this time in our lives for people 50 plus, having the opportunity to continue lifelong learning as well as building and retaining relationships. It's very hard. And in my case, I'm a good example. Coming and having to start like a whole new group of friends. Ollie provides that opportunity for those social connections as well as learning opportunities, but it also is fun and enjoyable. And that's really where we're at in our, I think, our point in life. And so continuing to support that in any capacity is key to my involvement.
Great.
Yeah, I would certainly echo the concept of the phase of life that we're in, which does not mean that other adults cannot participate in OLLI, but most realistically, you have to have a flexible daytime schedule to get the full benefit of the organization. And I was retiring at the point when I joined OLLI, and what I know, again, because of a healthcare background, is that the aging brain needs new challenges. And I think if we're going to have a satisfying retirement, we really need to think about role substitution for the many ways in which we've derived satisfaction in the past. And so for identity, meaning, and purpose, I think this is an invaluable organization. And we're weathering a lot of transitions then. It's like retirement's just one of them, but meant for many of us, it is our own relocation or the relocation out of the area of people that we've been close to. And we might be experiencing health challenges ourselves, or we're finding those in the people we care about. So, I'm, again, from a healthcare background, committed to healthy aging. I think we're in a wonderful period of our lives in which we really have the time to explore ourselves and our values, and to be able to connect with people around ideas is a really powerful way to have new connections and rewarding relationships. So I definitely think when we came up with the slogan of come for the classes and stay for the connections, the emphasis for me is the connections. You can read a book, you can watch a show, but when you talk to people about ideas, that's really important.
Wow, I'm listening to the three of you answering what keeps you volunteering. I feel like we've transitioned into the last question that I wanted to ask you. And I feel like it's sort of already been answered, but let me put the question out there anyway. In your opinions, what does volunteering at OLLI offer to our members?
Oh, goodness. I think there is no better way to connect with people but around a project. I mean, that's the way you deepen connections. And again, I think Margaret's talked about the mission, and for me, that is a big driver, and I see that it really it's the valuable part of OLLI. You can get transactional about any volunteer group that you're involved with. You could say, oh, I didn't get the class I wanted, so I'm out of here. But I think if you really look at the mission and also the open house has, for me, amplified that there are many organizations in the Rogue Valley that share this mission, and we are able to amplify each other's focus on ideas and connections around ideas. So I think that's the part of volunteering that people overlook. Oh, and I will add that I think it's an extreme compliment to somebody to ask them to volunteer. It is an acknowledgement that you have seen some worth in them and skills and that you would like to spend time with them. I mean, how cool is that to be asked? So, and that's what I think is important about volunteering in Ollie. There, oh, and also there are so many touch points. I mean, you see people in class, you see them out in the grocery store, and so you sort of feel like you belong to a community, and that is not just satisfying, but definitely needed as we are in the ages that we are at.
Great. Peggy, what does volunteering here offer to our members, in your opinion?
I find it hard to say much more than what Anne said, but I think I'd like to approach it from the instructor's standpoint, that it gives me as an instructor a reason to keep learning and to keep teaching. And I guess I hope for the students, it gives them an opportunity to keep learning. And it's wonderful then when I run into one of my Ollie students and they are enthusiastic and excited and they say, oh, that makes sense now. It never made sense to me before. And so that's why I keep volunteering as an instructor, because I find it's very rewarding personally. I've always felt if I'm involved with a community or organization, I want to try to make it a little better and try to do what I can to help it improve in some way or another. Sometimes that's easy to do, sometimes that isn't easy to do, but I think in Ollie, at least it's pretty easy to do through the instructor avenue.
Margaret?
Well, I'm kind of the cleanup person here. I have to say, Anne's point about building a community resonates with me from Peggy's perspective of the instructor. She pointed out that she has learned some new things. She's been able to use her past experience in her continuing her teaching, but also learning some new things. And I think that was important for me as it relates to volunteering at Ollie. The other thing too is that you get people around the table and they come up with new ideas and suggestions for projects and events, and that moves the organization forward. And we're always trying, I think in groups or teams or whatever, to just enhance on, what the work is. I think too, you can work in a team environment at Ollie if you like, or you can work independently. So it really gives everybody within the membership an opportunity to engage. And if you prefer to do things on your own, there's the office support, there's the garden. If you're more engaged in or interested in a team environment, you have the council or committee work. Lots of things to consider if you want to spend your time supporting Ollie at SOU.
Wow, all of you have really been very insightful and very motivating with all of your answers and discussion. I want to wrap this up, but I want to give each of you the opportunity, if you have one more thing that we didn't cover in any of the questions, if you have something else you'd like to add.
I do. First of all, I would like to acknowledge you, Laura. I mean, you are serving as council president this year, and that's an important role to be thinking about policies and procedures and directions and finances and things like that. And it's sort of a role in which you have to be a bit of a cheerleader. And so thank you. And I have to say I'm inspired when I see other people within Ollie working hard and being creative. I'm inspired to help support them and to acknowledge that. I mean, I see people like Lorraine Vale, who's gotten very involved in the project of renovating the campus, and I see instructors that are amazing. I see the fact that this organization was able to pivot from entirely in-person classes to literally I think it was like 275 classes delivered on Zoom in a miraculously short period of time in which the curriculum committee was saying to prospective instructors, and I was one of them, look, if you agree to teach in the fall, we will make sure that your students know how to learn on Zoom and that you will know how to teach on Zoom. And it happened. So these are things that I think we need to acknowledge as making us feel really good and have a sense of legacy.
I'd just like to say that the four of us here, you know, might not have ever become friends if it weren't for our organization. And I'm very thankful for that.
I was going to say I'm thankful for that as well. And I look forward to the new people whom I might meet through Ollie relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will add my last comment that moving at the worst time of COVID to Ashland and being able to meet Peggy and Ann almost immediately was about my only lifeline that I had at the time. And I owe it all to Ollie at SOU. So I want to thank you all, and I'll see you on campus or around town. Thank
Thank
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.